Hey, what's up, you guys? My name is Sonia Kilo, and I'm today's guest on El Paso Creative Podcast Show. Catch up with me, get all the chisme with La Chismosa.
Awesome. Awesome, Sonia. Thank you for being on the show with us. Um, so, Sonia, just talk to us a little bit about what you do. I know that you're in the music industry. How long have you been in the music industry? What are some big things you've done?
Yeah, for sure. So I have been a singer, songwriter, rapper for 3 years now. 2018, I think I made my debut. We are now in 2020, but like this year feels like it's still 2019 because I refuse to believe that 2020 was an actual year.
Honestly, same. Yeah.
Like we're just gonna act. That was a speed bump. But no, seriously, I have been an artist for 3 years. I've been working really hard independently for 3 years. And some of the bigger things that I think that I did early on in my career, for sure, one of them was opening up for Meg the Stallion and Danny Lay. And a couple of other ones, I got to go to Chicago and perform at the Laugh Factory, and just basically doing any shows outside of my hometown in Dallas, Texas has been the biggest dream that I had. The other amazing things about this journey has been creatively, like the music videos and the merchandise and the crazy like marketing ideas we've been able to come up with. And I think that that's one of the things that has helped me as an artist kind of separate myself from others, was just people being able to see me work creatively on my own and what I've had to do to kind of get noticed again as an independent artist.
Yeah. And so what are steps that you took to get noticed out there? Things that you went different routes?
I think for sure the first thing was just like being myself, because I remember when I first put out my first song, I kind of was like, I love this song. It's a dope song. I was like, but I honestly don't know who I am. But I'm not gonna try to force myself to be in a box. I'm not gonna try to force myself to be something that's trending right now, because then I'm gonna be stuck with that version of me. And who knows if that's me. So first
Always
step,
being you. Yeah.
yeah. So first step for sure was me just being me. And I think people felt like they could relate to me, and people felt like I was like their homegirl or their friend. And I got a lot of support that way. The second thing was like constantly creating, like finding new ways to like express myself through music. So when I came out with like more of the hip hop side with rapping, I think it helped people hear me more on the radio and hear me more in the clubs. But then when I would drop like R&B music, a lot of my other followers were just like, that's the side of you that I like. So I just strongly believe, just stick to like what you enjoy and not try to force yourself to stay in one lane or one box.
Yeah, and that's what I always tell people too. I'm like, just experiment in different avenues, like just even then I think we always mention this in each episode is like, even if you don't know how to do it, just say yes and then try it out, and then just
No, but then if you didn't do good at all, then like just don't do it again.
that's true. Depends how good you do it too. But I mean,
Like
just
people always say like fake it till you make it, but I'm like, that's terrible advice when you think about it. You don't want to fake it, because then you won't look really good at the end. You want to work really, really hard.
you got to
At,
know what you're doing. Yeah.
yeah.
Don't just go into it without knowing. But I
Yeah.
mean, like, there's a difference between like not knowing how to do it and then just experimenting. Like just go out and
Yeah.
experiment it.
For sure. For sure. I work with a lot of producers that at one point like weren't really trying to produce for anybody. And I'm like, no, 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 like let's just collab. Let's just figure this out, and really created some cool songs. And so when you can just do that, when you can just kind of like not feel the pressure of anybody else expecting anything from you, like that was, I think the best year was my 2018, was because I had no expectations for myself. Nobody knew who I was. If I messed up, it didn't matter. So now being, my third season, going into like my third year, it's more of like, okay, people have already seen this and this and this happen. You got to come stronger. You got to come better. And so that's a little hard
Yeah.
sometimes.
So what are some of the things that you've done to like get better and improve like where you're at? So like where you're at right now, and then
Yeah.
what is something that you did to improve where you're at now, and then just keep improving?
For sure, one of the things that I did was I started working with other writers. So even though I'm a songwriter, you have to really believe that there isn't just one song out there that one person worked on alone. It's not, some people get really in their own heads like, no, I want to write my own music. I want to only do this. But sometimes you have to work with other people to help you become better, and vice versa, like playing off of each other. So a lot of my most recent music, I've been able to collaborate with other writers, and it's just like the level of how good it is just it's crazy to me. Like, it's crazy. Sometimes I'm like, this sounds so much better than the song I put out 2 years ago, which sometimes I'm like, why did I put that song out? And
Yeah.
then people are like, they love it. I'm like, dang, I can't take it down.
Yeah, it's just the people already listened to it, people already seen it.
Yeah.
Mm. What got you into loving music or pursuing the music path?
It was just something that I always did. So I never, I think somebody said, I think somebody asked me when I was younger, what's the first thing you think about when you wake up? And I was like, singing, like music. And I had always told myself as a little girl, like, this is what I was going to be doing. I didn't know what it was going to look like or how I was going to get here, but I always knew everything that I did in life, whether it was like going to college or landing a dream job. I always knew that it was a small thing compared to like my bigger dream, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it was a cool thing to check off on the list, but I always knew what the main goal was. And I knew I was eventually going to get there. I didn't rush myself. Sometimes I wish I would have. Sometimes I wish I would have been more persistent within myself. But I think that's another thing, is having patience is going to really pay off in the end.
Yeah. Exactly. I believe that too. Yeah, just, going with the process of it, don't rush the process.
Yeah. And
Trusting.
like, I really believe too that you can't compare yourself to other people. So like, if somebody gets married at 21, you don't have to get married. I mean, don't get married at 21. But if somebody gets married at 21, don't think that you got to get married too. If somebody graduates, with a bachelor at 25, you could be graduating with your bachelor's at 35. It doesn't
Exactly.
matter.
Go at your
It's what
pace. Yeah.
Yeah, it's whatever is meant for you is meant for you. And so I am very appreciative that I have that mindset, because I think that I remember when I was younger, I told myself, if you don't get signed at 17 or 16, it's not going to happen. Like, it's just not going to happen, because everybody that I had loved growing up, that was kind of like the process. But that's not reality anymore. Like,
Really
that's
rare.
not,
Like, unless you actually know somebody who is actually really well connected in the industry, it's not gonna happen like right away, like off the bat.
yeah. And for sure, like, it's so different now. You can literally put yourself on. Like, you can be independent for a long time and make more noise independently than if you were to get signed and possibly get shelved. Because that's another thing that happened to a lot of people. They got signed and then the label wanted to build them. So they kind of kept them quiet on the shelf for years and years and years. Snow the product, that kind of happened to her and her last deal that she got signed with. A lot of music didn't come out because they were like, they didn't like it.
Yeah. So would you say it's better to like pursue your own pathway without going out and looking for a record label in a
I
way?
think for sure. I mean, I think whenever you start creating noise, I think whatever you do on your own path, make as much noise as you can, because you want the ball to be in your court when somebody approaches you and you're able to show them, this is how many shows I sold out on my own. This is how much merchandise I sold out on my own.
You did it
You know,
on your own. Yeah.
yeah, because they're called like DIY artists now. And a lot of labels or even indie labels are looking at these DIY artists because it's so much easier to go literally pick up a little, product off the shelf that pretty much already packaged themselves, than the label trying to basically be like, well, what kind of artist do we think they should be? What should they look like? What are the fans going to like? So when you've already done all the work for them, it's so much easier for them to just say, all right, we like you. You already got momentum. Like, let's do this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put more money behind you and get you out there quicker and faster.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when you when you started chasing your career path in music, what resources did you have to get started with it? I know a lot of people want like the quick, big buck resources, that's out there, but like you got to do with what you have. So
Yeah. And honestly, I didn't have a lot of resources. I had to like, I'm thankful for like networking, and I'm thankful for just some people like telling me, hey, you should do this. But in all reality, like, I wasn't really smart market wise. I wasn't really like, I didn't have a big budget. And so it took off really slow. And like, I think if I would have put more money behind marketing, it would have done better. But then sometimes too, I'm like, I kind of glad I didn't do that, because I love the music more now than I did then. So if I would have put a whole bunch of money behind that music,
that's true.
maybe I would have never been who I am now, because it
Could have
pushed
been
me
what you
to
were
be,
doing. Yeah.
yeah, I was still experimenting.
Yeah. So it's better now that you know exactly what to do. You put more money.
Yeah, and now, I have the ability to put more money in marketing, because I have that fan base that is buying merch, that's coming out to my shows, that, is constantly trying to like support. And so it's easier now to be like, I know what they're gonna like. I'm gonna push this song. I'm gonna do this visual.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's just you gotta like we mentioned before, it's like don't fake it till you make it. Know exactly what you're gonna do, and then have a plan because then you're gonna be kind of wasting your time if you don't
Yeah.
know exactly what you're doing. But along the whole way of like also reaching to knowing what you're doing, what mistakes have you learned from that you've hit along the way?
I think one of the things that I made a mistake on was early on was not collaborating. And it goes back to me like not really knowing who I was as an artist. So I was really kind of, I'm not gonna say shy because it's a terrible word, but like somewhere in the box of being shy, when it came to collaborating with artists, I just did not put myself out there. And anytime somebody would contact me to collaborate, I didn't really take them serious. And I wish I would have did that more. Collaborations on any level are the most important thing, whether you are like a model, a photographer, a videographer, whatever type of artist you are, creative artist, collaborating will pretty much break through any algorithm out there or any like barrier out there. Like it'll get you, for artists, it pretty much helps you on the Spotify algorithm the most
Yeah.
because if you collaborated with an artist that maybe has like 4,000 listeners and you're just now getting out there, well, guess what? Now their listeners are going to come across you because you guys are both on each other's Spotify.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I do regret is like not doing that.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody's ever made it without having a sort of connection in a way. Like nobody has ever made it without knowing somebody who helped them out.
Yeah.
It's somebody helping you to get out there a little bit more. But if you weren't doing what you were doing now in the music industry, what else would you be doing besides music? If you weren't doing music,
That's so hard. Okay, well, like I would say if I wasn't an artist, okay, not music at all. You want me to say like no music at all?
like if your interest wasn't like in the creative industry as music, but it
Ah,
was something
so
else, what would you be doing?
okay, well, low key, high key, whatever. I honestly love the environment. Like, I'm gonna tell you something. You can't laugh. Close your eyes so you don't laugh.
Okay, I'm gonna close it. I'm gonna close it.
my my biggest crush in life is Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Oh wow.
That's
Ain't
so
so
embarrassing.
attractive. That's not embarrassing.
So it's so embarrassing because I love how much he loves the environment. And I love like when he goes in on people, like when he has to set people straight, like you idiots. I'm like, that's my man right there.
Exactly. A whole video on like the face mask and like how like I guess when you blow inside the mask it could like still take out the fire or whatever.
Yes.
He's
So
just making it so
honestly,
like with I forgot the word with sarcasm.
yes, like he be going in on them for real. And I'm like, that's my man right there. But honestly, like I grew up loving like recycling and just being like very eco-friendly and being green. So even when I was working at any of my jobs that I've ever worked in my whole life, I was always given the role of making sure like the office or the clinic or whatever was being green. I
Yeah.
even got an award for it. Like it's crazy. So, but they actually don't make a lot of money. The people that work in those agencies or whatever, they don't make a lot of money.
Mhm. Well, have
So,
you seen it where like it was a documentary, I think it was in Brazil, where these kids, because Brazil's like a big landfill for trash and all that. So these kids
oh,
would who want to
no.
be musicians, they would go to those landfills and get like a bunch of recyclable stuff and make instruments out of them. They would make guitars and like drums and a bunch
I
of
could only imagine. I could not imagine living in a country where you get all the trash.
yeah,
That's not a way to live.
but those are, and I thought it was interesting too because like those aren't just like regular people who go and do that, but those are low income people who have the passion to find a way to make what they want to do happen. So whether it's like making a guitar out of whatever you have there available for you, it's just like their commitment to it. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah.
That's cool. Have you ever seen, I don't know what country he's from. Have you ever seen the guy who made a house out of a whole bunch of water bottles?
No, really?
Okay, yeah. So like water bottles, like any plastic bottle, and he pretty much created a whole house. He created like the foundation of the house, like the structure.
Yeah. Out of water bottle. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
anyways, I still recycle really big. Like sometimes if I'm out somewhere and there's not a recycling bin, I will take all of my trash home with me because my conscience is like, don't do it, Sonia. You're better than this. Don't do that. Don't throw it in the trash. A
Yeah.
poor a poor baby turtle is probably going to end up dead because of you.
Let's not turn this episode into an environmental lesson.
Yeah, no, no, for sure. Hey, you guys, my name is Sonia Kilo, and I'm your environmentalist for
Hey,
today.
there you go. Start a whole different series with this.
Look, like Miss Lizzo meets Sonia Kilo.
Like Bill Nye meets Sonic Kilo.
Kilo. Sonia Nye, the
There you go.
science guy.
Yeah, hey, that sounds good right there. All right, so going back to like your whole music, what's your process like, and from like just from the very beginning of creating a song to finishing and knowing when a song is finished?
So I actually I play the piano a little bit, but honestly, I create melodies in my head. So what I'll do is like I'll just be doing something and either I'll start singing or humming something. I'll get my voice recorder on my iPhone and I'll just record it, then I'll send it to the producer. And then when we get together, we like figure it out and we go from there. I also write to beats. I really don't like doing that, but I've done it on a couple of my songs and they come out really good, but I really, really like to create from scratch. And so, me just creating a melody, like I have so many notes in my phone, so many recordings in my phone, and I just go through the melodies and I fill in words and then goes from
I really like how like Billie Eilish does it, where the way she comes out with music is she just throws out random words. She just says random words and connects them together, and just starts
it's
humming.
like how it's so funny because there's a song called Feelings on Nine that I released at the beginning of the year. And it was so funny because I was listening to Ariana Grande song and she said something like, and I'm hating myself. And I just took like the word hating myself and I started humming and playing around with something. And then I created this whole song around it just by
Mhm.
those two words.
Just by those two words. Yeah, I mean, people make music out of like random. Like I seen Billy where she does like she says apple, and then she looks around, she's like the wall, and like she's like the apple on the wall or something like that. And it's like it's just pretty cool how like you just mix things together and just make a song out of it.
I think Sia does that too.
Mhm.
Sia, the chandelier song, she, what I'm talking about?
I think I do. I'm not.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2,
Oh
3.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she was actually at a Hollywood party and she was performing, but she was just up there, like, just kind of like playing around. And then she said she just started creating that song and she started singing it and she just started coming up with words and she created that whole song there. And so sometimes I can do that. Like sometimes I could be that creative and do that. And then sometimes it takes like a couple of days and I got to like let it go for a little bit.
Yeah. That's crazy. And I mean, like, it's always the songs that like just come out of nowhere from like out of whatever words that make it big, you know?
Yeah.
Really?
Like, so I've noticed that every song that you've been playing is Stay in This Room.
Which one?
When anytime you post something like a flyer meet, you'll play Stay in This Room. So it's like the song with the guitar.
Oh
And
yeah.
like, so that song actually is so funny because that song didn't sound anything like it ended up sounding like now. We recorded it and then I was like, something's missing. Like I don't really like it. So I changed the melody and I had my friend come in and we put it to guitar and we made it sound like a little reggae pop.
Yeah.
And that's like my favorite thing about that song. And I think, what if I would have kept it the old way? I don't think I would have liked it. I would have just been stuck with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Just like getting more experimental with making your music. Yeah. But now with everything, the whole local trends and everything with COVID going on, how did you transition? Like without doing concerts now, without doing live shows?
I mean, I don't think the transition was like as good as I thought it was gonna be. But like I did so many virtual shows. Like I did so many virtual shows. And then thank God, I had a lot of people reach out to me to do like interviews and I still release music and still release merch. But here, in Dallas, we actually started having shows. So a couple of months ago, I started doing shows again. And I think that period of time for like 3 months, I kind of was like, is anything going to go back to normal? Are we ever going to be the same artists that we were? Are we going to be able to survive this? A lot of independent artists, like, it's hard to survive things like this. You
Yeah.
don't have a major label backing you. And so you kind of depend on being out there and getting people to listen to you and hear you to, push your product out there. You are the product.
Yeah.
And that was like super hard. So, I mean, my transition, I literally went from doing shows and traveling to hopping, like staying at home. Like my top, like I have clothes on right now. Okay. I have clothes on. But sometimes I would be so stressed for time that I'm like, my top looks cute. Okay, we're good. Let's go. Like the rest of me, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much like it was back to back, like back to back interviews, back to back virtual shows.
Just trying to find a different avenue to get yourself out there, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it like COVID sucks and it still sucks, but I think it's one of those things that it helped me get a lot of fans in different parts of the country, in different cities, than I would have been able to do just traveling for shows because it's quicker, it's instant, you
Yeah.
know?
Mhm. Traveling, it's even like a budget waster. Well, not a budget waster, but like it spends a
You
lot
put
more.
a lot of money. Yeah, you put a lot of money. And it's cool. It's cool to be like, hey, you guys, I'm out here in Vegas, wherever I'm out here in El Paso. It's really cool to say that, but it does take a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of
Yeah.
preparation.
So there is a little bit of good and bad, but it's just more of like an adaptation of like, hey, this is a new life. It sucks to say like this is a new norm, but like I gotta figure it out.
Yeah, you got to take the good with the bad. So that definitely was bad, but it ended up being good. If you were an artist that did it the right way, it
Mhm.
really helped you, and it really helped me.
Yeah, and I've always thought about it too. I'm like, I think it was always better to always do things virtually and digitally because people are always on their phones. Like their head is glued to their phones.
And the thing is, though, like a lot of people that never had that platform. So like Twitch kind of took off even more in COVID. Like Twitch was always a big thing, but Twitch, opened up a lot more doors for a lot more people. And Twitch actually pays a lot better than YouTube does.
Yeah,
Sorry, YouTube. I don't mean to talk about you like that,
yeah,
but
on Twitch.
yeah, but Twitch actually pays out a lot better. And you have the opportunity to sell things more on there. But it's crazy because I remember when the shutdown first happened, I remember I went to the store and I couldn't buy a webcam. I couldn't buy anything. Like everyone was buying everything because they were about to start a whole production in their house. And they
Yeah,
did. I saw so many people come out with so many different ideas. And it's one of those things where you have to always be on your toes. Like it's hard. Sometimes you want to just like chill and wait for the storm to pass. But honestly, in the storm, there's stuff going on that you need to be actively doing too.
because we don't know like tomorrow Instagram could be gone. TikTok
Yeah.
disappeared for a lot of TikTok creators, and everybody was freaking out. They're like, "This is
I
my
know people were like, bye. And I was like, girl, I'm about to see you tomorrow. Chill out.
for real."
Like, you're
Yeah,
not about to get me. But you know what's crazy? I remember one time somebody said, what if Instagram shut down and all of a sudden you weren't a model anymore? Boom.
it's like that doesn't work like that, but okay, yeah.
I was just like, oh my God, that's terrible.
People think that one platform is their whole life, and I'm like, no, you know.
You
But
know, Instagram was really cool. I think another thing that I always regret is not jumping on things when they first start. So I didn't take Instagram serious when it first started. I created one, but
yeah,
I didn't take it serious. Like I wasn't like trying to be ahead of the curve like everybody else. There's people out there that know these things, that kind of know
yeah,
trends before they happen, and they make those big like impacts on like social media, like TikTok. If you were
yeah.
the
Like
first to
TikTok's
hop
the
on,
perfect example. Yeah,
yeah, if you're the first people to hop on TikTok, like you're good, you're in the bag. Same thing with Instagram. Like if you're one of the first influencers or YouTube, okay, remember when YouTube first started? YouTube was like the platform where what TikTok is now, you know?
yeah,
People were just uploading all kinds of home videos, all
yeah.
kinds of dance videos, all kinds of like weird,
It's
funny kid moments.
it's funny. Somebody just mentioned in the comments that this is better than watching the debate. I guess the debate's going on right now. We're over here talking about like TikTok, Instagram
Yeah.
models. You know,
I wonder what. Hey, let's tune in and let's do a reaction video to the debate.
there you go. Joe Biden on TikTok, Trump on Instagram. Just compare the both.
That's crazy. I honestly, if you guys are watching this right now, I hope you guys went to go vote because early voting is like the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Don't be a procrastinator. You can procrastinate on everything else. You can forget about the frijoles, but don't forget about voting.
Like the frijoles in the oven or the
Yeah,
stove.
you could forget. You could be driving down the street and forget that you left the frijoles on the stove, but don't forget about voting.
True. That's true. That's true. Voting's a big thing. But
Yeah,
kind of a more, I guess, important question I want to ask you, and goes to a lot of different artists. I always ask these artists this, and I'm like, what are tough decisions that you had to make, sacrifices or things like that throughout your whole path? That it's like, crap, if I don't do this, it's over. Like I'm gonna have to do this in order to get to this part.
I think one of the first sacrifices that I made was I quit my day job. Like I quit my full-time
Really?
job. That
Do the
was hard.
music?
Look, yes, and you know what's so crazy? Like I kind of regret it now. but like I don't regret it. I'm gonna
Well,
tell you
you
why.
never regret something, because it's
No,
always
I'm gonna tell you why I regret it because it's just like a little regret. Okay, so I quit my job. I put a lot of thought into it. I was there for 6 years. That's what I got my degree in. I made good money, but it was very stressful. I couldn't do my job and be an artist because it wasn't. It was kind of like I told myself, if you're gonna really do this, you have to jump in and do it, and you can't be half-ass. Like
yeah.
you're never gonna get where you need to go if you're being half-ass about it. And I don't want anybody that's watching this to think I got to quit my day job right now. No,
No.
having a day job is very normal, but
Yeah.
the kind that I had was not going to ever work for me. Like it was very demanding. So I went ahead and I quit and I took out my 401k.
Mm-hmm. This earth.
I went like this. I took out my 401k and then I started doing shows in different cities and I started marketing more and I started doing things. And then
But
that
see,
was
but
last
that's the
year.
thing is because you had a plan. Like you didn't just take out your 401k just to take it out. You took it out to reinvest in what you want to do.
Yeah. But sometimes like music, investing in music is very, very like
Expensive.
yeah, it's not just that. It's like you won't get it back like you think you will. You will not get it back like you think you will. So you kind of have to be willing to like not see that money for a while. Or, like that's why a lot of people don't invest in music like they used to, like back in the day. Like it's very like unreliable. But anyway, so I took out that money. I kind of had a plan. I did my plan. Then this year, I was still on that plan. I was making big moves, and then COVID happened. And
Yeah.
that's when I had a little like, girl, what did you just do with your life?
Yeah.
And the only regret that I had was when I took out my 401k, like it wasn't really like a penalty. It was more like I kind of got lost money. But now anybody that takes out their money now, they didn't get any penalties. So I was like, dang, maybe I should have waited.
You should have waited. Like, coach,
Yeah,
tell me when you're gonna get here.
yeah.
Tell me.
That's the only thing.
Yeah. No, but it's everything's a lesson learned. So that's I guess that goes back to the previous question that I asked you before in the show. It's just like, what are mistakes you learned from? That's something that, now you could always tell people and be like, hey, don't do what I did unless it works out, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a funner question away from the 401k, what's your dream project? Who's your dream collaboration or somebody to work with?
My dream like producer to work with is Mike Shinoda. I love him from Lincoln Park.
Yeah. Hmm.
I've always wanted to work with him, but I don't even think if he's ever gonna work with another artist anymore. Like after Chester, I think that would be super hard for him to like want to get out there. I could be wrong. He could already be out there and I don't know. Um, yeah, I don't know. But Happy Perez is another producer I want to work with. Crystal Poppin is an artist that I want to collab with that I've been trying to collab with. And she just got signed. So we're gonna see if that happens.
Yeah.
And I think like Rico Nasty would be another good one. Dojo Cat. Oh
Dojo
my God.
Cat. Everybody
If
loves
that
Dojo.
ever, if that ever happens, like I would die.
Everything would be so well worth it.
Yeah. And then I'll go back to work. No, I'm just kidding.
Or you could collaborate with Bill Nye. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
There you
Me
go.
and Devon and I could do a TikTok. We could come up with a song.
About
That
his science experiment or something.
yes.
That
Hey,
would
do you watch Bretman Rock?
that may rock. No. Mm-mm.
Oh
I don't even
man.
know who
Okay,
that
I'll
is.
send you the video when we get off. But he does a little skit of him doing science experiments, and he's like, "Bretman, the science bitch, 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 bitch." It's funny.
I've seen those people that do like I guess rapping. They rap about like certain topics. Like I remember I used to watch it a long time ago on YouTube. Like these two people would make like these cool rapping songs about like what's going on, like on a debate or whatever's going on, like in life, and they would make like jokes about it in rapping, and it was just
That's crazy. People are so creative. Like, do you ever like just be on TikTok and you're like, how did they even think about this? How did they even do this?
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm like. What I referred back to was like here, like there's so much hidden local talent or creators that nobody sees, and they have it better than the actual person that made it out.
And sometimes too, though, I think of it like this, like I am very grateful. This sounds selfish, but I'm very grateful for the artists that I could see that are still like very organic because sometimes you lose those artists that you loved at the beginning because it gets harder when they go mainstream. Like they're not the same people.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. And so, three last questions for you.
Oops, sorry.
What's next for you? What are you doing next? Any bigger projects you're coming up with?
Um, Like I'm working on, hold on, I'm sorry. This thing turned off. Okay, I'm working on my EP right now because I've only had one EP. I have my La Chismosa EP that I came out with in 2018.
Mm.
So I never released another EP after that. I just released singles, and I'm not saying it was a
Oh,
terrible.
well, there you go. That's one thing I forgot to ask you. La Chismosa. Where does that come from?
So basically, like it's so super funny because my dad growing up, he used to say, Sonia y las chismosas. He would call me and my friends like chismosas.
Yeah.
Uh, but like as a songwriter, I just feel like I am a chismosa because I am writing stories about myself and my life and like things around me. And being a chismosa is kind of like telling a story, you know?
Yeah.
So I use it in the form of songwriting. But some people like be looking at me like, so you're a chismosa, so you be telling all my secrets. I'm like, no.
No, there's a different
But
meaning.
I do know all the secrets.
There you go. I'm gonna have to end this episode.
I know. Okay, bye, girl.
No, and I thought like chismosa meant like you're always trying to figure out what's going on around you or like in the world, which is true, right? Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, that's true too. I know. I'm telling you, I know everything. And you know what else I'm really good at? And I hope nobody unfollows me because of this. I can read people. Like I can read people. Like, do you ever look at people's like what they're posting and you're like, I think this is what's going on. And then I write it down. And then later on it was true. And I'm like, dang, I'm so good.
That has
Like,
happened. Yeah, like I'm like, oh, like this is gonna happen, or I call it before it happens, and it does happen, and I'm like, I called it, like.
yeah, because I could just kind of read what people are saying without saying it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe everybody can. I don't
I don't know.
know.
Yeah, but I thought that was very unique, and I think people took that the wrong way. La chismosa. I'm like, well, no, because you got to see it in a different way, where it's like it could mean that you're just very well interested in what's going on around you, that you're just trying to figure out, and it makes sense for music too, because you could pull whatever's going out and make a song out of it. Makes sense.
Yeah, so that's why my IG bio says the friendly neighborhood chismosa.
There you go. There you go. That makes sense. Um, so then the second question would be compared to where you're at now, what are things that you know now that you wish you would have known when you first got started?
The things that I know now for sure is basically like marketing wise. Like I wish I would have been more in the beginning, like aware that I am more than enough.
Yeah.
And I am like bigger than what I am because when you first start out, you feel really small and you feel like no one's gonna pay attention to you. But I wish I would have just been as loud as I am now then.
Yeah.
And just really had like faith in myself. But I think you depend on other people to tell you, to feed into you, and do that. Like definitely if you have a friend out there that's an artist, like feed into them and water them. They're like a plant, like water them. But you also have to tell yourself, and I wish I would have told myself back then, like, you're enough, and you're gonna be so surprised how big you are. I'm not like huge, but how big you are in a
Yeah.
couple of years.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's just like, don't take others people's opinion and like dwell on it, like just
Yeah, for
do what you
sure. Like
want. Yeah.
don't take it for face value. Like just let it be because opinions matter, but that don't mean they have to matter for your current, situation.
Yeah. Yeah. And I believe that. And so like, I don't know if that would be the piece of advice, but then the last question would be, what piece of advice do you have for anybody coming up in the same like industry as you?
For sure, my other advice would be to constantly like just create and to have music videos and content ready to release like every 6 to 8 weeks. It sounds crazy, but it's not crazy. This industry is so fast that people will remember how much music you're feeding them versus you waiting 6 months, 8 months. And I know like music is expensive, like to do things like that. So you have to find people that want to collaborate with you, but also help them out too. Like you need to find a group that you can work with together.
Mhm. Yeah, and like get involved with like the same like-minded people as you, the same environment, the same people that want to do the same thing as you. Because if you're over there wanting to be a musician, you're hanging out with a bunch of drunk people, it's like
That ain't gonna
they're
work.
not going to motivate you to like make music. They're going to motivate you to get drunk with them.
Yeah, and that's another thing is like I had to be more I had to focus more.
Mhm.
And of course I wanted to go out and party and drink, but like I was in the gym. I took like writing seriously. I took the time that I needed to be in the studio. And if I was in there so long, and I needed to sleep, like I couldn't be going out. So it takes a lot of dedication and hard work.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, and like if you're serious about it and you're very passionate about it, you're gonna find to make it happen. You know. Yeah. And so, Sonia, before we let you go, where can people find you? Where can people look at your work or your music, follow you?
So you can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/see Sonia Kilo. So it's SONIA KILO. And then Instagram is at Sonia_Kilo. And then you can Google Sonia Kilo and it'll say the friendly neighborhood Chismosa, and that's me.
Really?
And and
Take a
then
picture of slide in with
Spotify,
you.
yeah, yeah, Spotify and Apple Music, all Sonia Kilo. So
Awesome.
please don't follow me on Spotify so you could be notified when new music is coming out. And I have a music video coming out soon.
Ooh, that's interesting. When is that coming out?
Soon.
Coming soon, 2025, and COVID's over.
I know. I know. No, it's like 3 weeks, I think. We haven't released the date yet because I want to be sure. I don't want to say it and then like, damn.
Oh, but it's already filmed, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a hard part about like, especially now, like with COVID, it's like it's hard to film.
No, not over here. We be filming. I'm
Really?
telling you, we were wilding out over here. I don't know what's wrong with us.
Yeah, I'm surprised you guys aren't the biggest case city.
I know. I'm like, how y'all take that?
It's funny, El Paso literally has the most cases with like compared to like two states combined. I think they had like whole chart was like I think Ohio and New Mexico combined had less cases than El Paso by itself.
But remember we were saying because it's like when we decide like, okay, we're not gonna go hang out in like the public, but then we invite all our family over. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's just it's crazy. It's just I don't know. It's a new norm and it sucks, you know. But
You
also,
got you got to decide like which family you really like, and that's who gets to come
yeah,
over.
who you're actually gonna want to die with, you know. All right, Sonia. Well, I'm gonna let you go, and I appreciate you being on the show. All right.
Thank you so much, Isaac. Bye.